Welcome to another Indie Dev Showcase, highlighting the many indie games we play here on the channel. If you'd like to submit a game for a future video, please reach out. But otherwise, let's begin. We're starting these off with a somewhat oldie but goodie indie game from last year, and that is Ghost Song. This was actually played through Games Pass and not one of our demo submissions. But nevertheless, this is a Metroidvania in the purest of senses. We are a mysterious being on an alien world. Something is causing the local wildlife and possibly humanoid people to go a little crazy. There is a group of survivors trying to get out, and we are deciding to help them. And we're going to help them by running, jumping, shooting, and gaining upgrades across the landscape. The aesthetics of this game are really well done. The game really nails the alien vibe of this place that we're in. In terms of gameplay, the bulk of this gameplay is kind of along the lines of Metroid. You have your blaster, which you can fire and gain different kinds of bullets or ammo types that will change the properties of it. There is also a melee, and the game features this dynamic where, as you shoot more with your gun, it overheats your hand. When your hand is fully overheated, you can punch for more damage. And there's different kind of passive artifacts or items you can equip that will change your properties, along again with the different weapons and so on. As per Metroidvania rules, you will need to explore the world, gather upgrades, including everyone's favorite, the double jump, in order to make progress and complete the game's main tasks. My main issue that I had with this one is definitely in terms of the structure. As I said, this is a Metroidvania, which means that it's supposed to be kind of open-ended. But it's kind of like that very quasi-open-ended. As in, the game will tell you you have 4 objectives. You can go to any one of these that you want. Except that's a complete lie. Only one of those you can actually do, and you'll need to get the upgrade to then go to the next one. And it can be kind of like a waste of time to go all the way across the map to realize that nope, you can't do this, go try the other one. Speaking of that, when we played the game last year, when you collect one of your major items that you need in order to progress the story, you cannot use fast travel. You must hoof it across the land to take it back to the home base in order for it to count. And again, this can be felt like a little bit like wasted time. Since we covered this one on stream, the game has received updates. I believe they've even added in a new game plus mode, so I don't know if these issues have been fixed or altered in any way. But if you are someone who likes your Metroidvanias and you're still in that kind of waiting period for more Silksong news and you missed out on Ghost Song, then I would definitely recommend checking it out. We now turn to Broken Pieces. Now, one thing to keep in mind before we go into this point, we played this back in 2022, and since the game was released and we checked it out, they have made some major patches to it, most notably allowing you to play the game in third person, as opposed to the fixed camera angle known for survival horror. So this is kind of like an in-between between a survival horror game and an adventure game. We are trapped in a coastal village where everyone has disappeared, time can be manipulated, and there's strange creatures roaming around. And in order to get to the bottom of this, we will have to explore, solve puzzles, and get into some gunfights. So the game itself is definitely more on the adventure side rather than the survival horror. You'll gain access to various areas that you'll need to solve puzzles, from basic logic ones to some not so logical ones. All the while, enemies can show up and you'll have to use your gun in order to deal with them. As the game goes on, you'll unlock various areas you can go to, and you'll have a little bit of freedom to decide which quests and such you'll tackle in what order. All in all, for my time with this one, we spent about like an hour and a half or so on it on stream, and this one seemed to be a decent adventure game. It definitely kind of, again, occupies between survival horror and adventure. If you're looking for a game that is 100% either one, then this one is not going to do it for you. But if you were on the fence because of the fixed camera angles and kind of slow movement of the game, then with the patches that have come out, I would at least give this one a shot if you're looking for a mix between that kind of adventure and horror style design. We now turn to A Sleeper's Quest, A Labyrinth 2V. This is a kind of 3D maze platformer game. You are trapped in a maze. You are going to use your platforming skills to get out and try and solve things one jump and one treasure chest at a time. So the game itself is focused more on this kind of platformer adventure. I wouldn't say kind of falls into like the getting over it or only up, that kind of like rage-based platforming, but it's a very streamlined kind of design. You only have the ability to move and jump, and you're going to explore this maze. The game does not give you any real indication as to where you should be going, what you should be doing, where things are, etc., etc. And if you're looking for a game that gives you like interesting movement tech or abilities like that, that is not what this game is about. It is just about kind of just basic platforming and exploring this world. It can be a bit of a hard sell in that approach. It kind of wants to be more of an adventure, kind of solving the puzzles of the world, but you still have to make use of very tricky jumps, and you don't have a shadow under your feet to let you know where you are in relation to the world. So this is one of those games that it's going to appeal to a very specific kind of player. Someone who has a lot of time to explore, and again is looking for a mix of puzzle and platforming, and not so much one or the other. So while this one may not be for me, I'm sure there's someone out there who is looking for a kind of, again, puzzling take on jumping. We now turn to something a little bit different in jumping with Stars in the Trash, and this is the demo of the game. This is a narrative kind of adventure platformer where we play as a spoiled cat who decides one day to run away from home, and it's going to end up getting into trouble, possibly learning some life lessons along the way, and maybe making some friends too. The major selling point of this one is definitely the aesthetic and animation, looking very much like some of the classic animated movies of like the 80s, early 90s. With the demo, we really didn't get a big chance to see kind of advanced gameplay in this one. With the game being described as kind of a narrative puzzle or narrative platformer kind of game, it's going to be hard to say whether or not this is going to be like very hard to play or going to be more on like the easier side in terms of platforming. But I do love what I'm seeing here, and there's certainly some potential for people looking for a platformer that also is part heartwarming tale as well. We now turn to Kells. This is a puzzle game that is kind of like Lemmings meets Gravity Effect. Your mission is to use your Kells to complete various challenges, get from beginning to end a level, and try to keep them alive as well. The main kind of mechanic here is that you'll use the arrows that you see at the bottom of the screen to affect where gravity will manipulate them. As the game goes on, you'll have to deal with more Kells at the same time, and really start breaking the laws of physics if you want to solve all the puzzles, as well as collect all these secrets as well. The footage that you're seeing is taken from the demo, but I do have a press key of the game that I've been meaning to go back to and check out as well. But this is a really great take on puzzle design, giving us something that we've kind of seen before with the whole Lemming style, but definitely done in a different way, thanks to the use of gravity and having more secrets and unlocks as well. This is one of those games that it starts out on the relatively easy side to play, but it can certainly prove to be more brain melty as it goes on and as you want to start trying out some of the advanced puzzles. So this is a game that it starts out relatively simple to get into, but it can certainly get very brain twisty as you start going after the advanced challenges, bonus levels, and trying to get everything in a single stage. So if you are someone who likes puzzle games, especially if you enjoy the kind of lemmings lead the characters across a level kind of design, I would highly recommend checking this one out. And now for the last game of our showcase this week, and this is Seasons, a minimalistic platformer. You are out and exploring the world, and you are going to have to jump, wall jump, and avoid spikes along the way to see it all. This is minimalistic as far as we can go in that sense. You have a basic jump, you can do a double jump, and also leap off of walls. Most of the rooms are going to be on the very basic side to get through. The titled Seasons corresponds to the game's 4 worlds taking place in each one of our seasons. Each one will change the rules or introduce mechanics in some way, shape, or form. If you're looking for a very challenging platformer, this is definitely not going to be it. And if you have trained on anything from Celeste to Meat Boy and so on, then you should be more than prepared to take on Seasons. I would put this more on the casual side. It can be a little tricky if you're going for all the secrets, but again, it's nothing that will probably be too taxing for you. This is a really solid afternoon game. It is not on the long side at all, and there are like additional bonuses you can get for completing it with all the collectibles and stuff along those lines. I would put this in the kind of, if you're looking for a game to get into platforming, then this is a very kind of non-threatening one to play, unless you really want to jump straight into like a Meat Boy or something along those lines. So again, nothing that is overly difficult or like beyond the norm for jumping, but still a very solid take for people looking for a kind of entry-level platformer. That's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to do the YouTubing stuff people tell you to do. If you're interested in more of my thoughts on design, check out my books wherever they are sold. Visit our Discord and Patreon, and come back for daily discussions on game design here, and on game wisdom, where you some of the art and science of games.